Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I'm going to be rating my Assassin's Creed collection, which I own all the games currently, from my favorites to play to the ones that I just have started but never really finished for different reasons or another, and I will go into those for my own purposes later. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The first 7 are the ones that I fully completed on various platforms, and then the other 5 I have not completed. And I will get into the last 5 when I get to them. But I'm going to just rate them based off of the most memorable to the least memorable. Starting with the most memorable, I think y'all will all agree with me if y'all have played any pirate game ever. This one is a must-have. Assassin's Creed Black Flag. You play as pirate Edward Kenway, which is a fictional pirate for a fictional realm, but at the same time, it's pretty good. If you get the Americas collection, you get this, the Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed Liberation, which includes a side story of an African-American female rescuing fellow slaves from enslavement in the South. It's an okay game. Unfortunately, I'm not putting any compilations into this list, because that would then mean a majority of these would have to be re-sifted to something else. But yes, for what it is, this has been my most favorite and most memorable one to go back to. Starting with the second most memorable, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Yeah, I know it's the newest one, but I love the PS4 trilogy because not only does it have simplified controls, but all the controls for each of the games are the exact same. Whereas on the PlayStation 3 side of things, you use different buttons for different synchronization points and everything. So, in a way, it's easier to get into the PS4 version or the Xbox One X version than it is to go back and play the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions. But at the same time, I really do love a majority of these for different reasons. This one, I just love playing as a Viking. Eivor is female in the comic book, so I have played as the female version, and then Odin is the male version of Eivor, Havi in the game, and I really just love the storylines, including it's so rewarding because when you're done with the 80-hour story campaign of making all the alliances, and then you defeat all of the cultists and all that sort of stuff, then you get all the other side stuff done, which isn't as necessary as in Odyssey to get all the side stuff done, because there's a trophy for completing all the areas, but it doesn't feel like hard work, unlike Origins or Odyssey, where it seems like a lot of work when it's really not. My next pick is Origins. This is the second game I actually played after Black Flag. Suffice it to say, this game I liked a lot more than Black Flag, but because Black Flag was my first experience and it was the most memorable, I still love both of those games equally, but unfortunately, it just, for me, it pains me to say this, but I love the historical mode more than I love the actual gameplay on this one. And same thing with Odyssey. I love the historical mode more than I love the gameplay. Don't get me wrong, the gameplay is awesome, but the historical mode, in my opinion, because I love history, I love learning new things. But the problem is you have to complete the main storyline before you can go into the historical mode. Even with the code, it doesn't unlock until you complete 3/4 of the game, basically, first. And that doesn't mean that you have to do every single area. It just means you have to do 3/4 the main storyline before you can even unlock the historical areas. And if you have all the DLC unlocked, you can actually unlock a majority of the historical things that are in the DLC too after you've downloaded the DLC as well. So it won't show up in the main game. Otherwise, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, yeah. I don't know. This is one of the first games that I have loved the story, but I don't love all of the different forts and other things. And everything looks almost exactly the same on every island. Every single section of the game looks almost similar. There's no differentials in the system for what you're working in. And it's Greece. There's a lot of different landscapes to it. Couldn't you have done better? But at the same time, I love the Atlantis storyline. I love all the 3 different storylines in this game. I never finished the entirety of the DLC. I love the Legacy of the Hidden Blade DLC, but I would not, in fact, go with the Fate of Atlantis DLC if I can help it. If I had the money to do it all over again, I would just go with the Mystery of the First Blade and leave the Atlantis DLC, chuck it out the window. But unfortunately, I've already got all the DLCs, so there's nothing I can do about it. In fact, I never even completed the second Fate of Atlantis DLC because I couldn't get past Hades even after watching YouTube videos multiple times a day on the best, easiest method to defeat Hades, because I like getting up and close to my opponent when I'm or up and close to to the bosses in the boss battles. It does not work for me when I have to do bow and arrow, defeat the eyes, and then come in and hit Hades while also taking a lot of damage from Hades initially. It just doesn't work for me. But it's memorable for some good reasons and some very poor reasons. One of the good reasons is this is the first time where you can get 5 to 10 different endings, depending on how you made your choices, which is something I like that they added to Valhalla, but they didn't make the gameplay so clunky in Valhalla, whereas this is clunky as all get-ups. For the last 3 are the PlayStation 3, 2 of the Ezio games, and Rogue. Assassin's Creed 2, which is the first of the Ezio trilogy. I had to restart this from the beginning, and I played through and I completed it within a week. Basically, I played from sunup and sundown for a week. Technically, it only took me 2 days to complete the main story, and another 3 days basically to complete all the glyph puzzles by myself. I never used any YouTube algorithms or anything. I actually figured out every puzzle by myself. God, it felt like I was being initiated in the CIA with some of those glyph puzzles. If you've ever watched any of the glyph puzzle videos that people have posted online, especially the solution to the glyphs, you'll feel like you're watching an entrance exam into the Central Intelligence Agency. That's how tough some of those glyphs were. But at the end of the day, you get a great reward, a great trophy / achievement. I still have yet to find all the collectibles, the feathers and stuff, and complete all the mini side quests and stuff in the game. But I've completed the main storyline, and it's something that I could at least go back to because the art style, everything, every town has its own aesthetic that works for it instead of against it. And in that way, it's good. Assassin's Creed Revelations. I unfortunately got into this game well after the multiplayer was no longer supported, so I never really got a chance to play with the multiplayer aspect of this before moving into this new house, which takes me back to 90s internet speed, 3 hours worth of uploads, same old, same old. So for me, this game is a very good game. I love that it wraps up both Ezio's storyline and the Altair storyline with a nice big bow, and you actually get to unlock memory fragments. That's one of the collectibles in here. I still haven't gotten all the collectibles for the memory fragments to bring Desmond back to life from the Animus after his insanity at the end of Brotherhood, which I still haven't completed, which is why it's one of the ones at the bottom of the list. I'm only doing the ones that I've completed first, that are higher up on the list, and the ones that I could not complete for various reasons I'll get back to in a moment. Assassin's Creed Rogue, you play as an assassin, Shay Patrick Cormac. He is probably from Scotland or Ireland, if I were to guess based off the voice acting. But he's also one of the American assassins. And when he inadvertently causes a cataclysm in Portugal, the earthquake of 1400 and something, I don't remember the actual date of that earthquake, that leveled the town that was leveled in this game. It basically takes place at the exact same time. The Templar storyline, where he defects from the assassins to the Templars to prevent them from destroying the world with their own stupidity. It's a pretty good storyline. The fact that there's items that are keeping the earth together instead of being destroyed. Pretty realistic considering all the knowledge that's come out between the past 5 to 10 years about civilizations that came before and how we as humans were created as a slave race. Very similar to the Isu storylines in all of the Assassin's Creed games. Either way, I'm not going to get into it. These two are on par with one another. Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Assassin's Creed Unity. Both of these are glitchy clusters of a mess. If I were to pick one that I prefer over the other, I would probably say Syndicate. But I prefer Unity's DLC, where you're in the Napoleonic Wars. I don't necessarily prefer Unity, the actual game, but I like the DLC a lot more. Sucks that you have to be at level 6, which means you have to complete half this broken mess before you can actually play the DLCs. But I'll let it go. And same thing here, you've got to complete to level 10, which is 3/4 the game of a broken mess, to get to where you need to be to just play the game naturally. Assassin's Creed 3, I liked the what's his name? I like the father of Connor Cormac's Connor Kenway's story. Then I actually like Connor Kenway as an assassin. So Hatham's storyline was so much more fleshed out in this one than Connor. The fact that Hatham basically gives up the fight to Connor just to have his son take out the rest of the Brotherhood, the Templar Order in America, kind of just defeats the whole purpose of Hatham's storyline. But that's besides the point. And then Brotherhood, just because I haven't fully completed it. I love all of the side content. And I've gotten about halfway through it, and I'll probably just like AC2, I will probably have to start from the beginning and just do a quick playthrough of this, just because it's not a long game, just like this one. It's just when you're having to go back after a year of not playing it, it's difficult to get the controls back down. And then finally, the Assassin's Creed, the original, the very highly anticipated back in 2009, I believe. Not sure on the date in which this was released. As I've only been playing the Assassin's Creed games for the last 2 years, but this is the least memorable, not only because of its graphics, but because I just didn't find it very appealing as an adult going into the series for the first time. As I said, I started off with Black Flag, better graphics, better appeal, and a better storyline than this. Although it's a good storyline, it sucks that the PlayStation 3 version does not have trophies/achievements, whereas the Xbox 360 version does. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to waste my money on an Xbox 360 just to get a bunch of trophies for this one game. That's the only game I'm going to be playing on the console. Sorry. And the fact that you can mod it on an Xbox 360, whereas you can't fix any of the graphical stuff or anything on this version, I would recommend not getting this if you're wanting to start now on Assassin's Creed games. It's my least favorite, and it's definitely the least memorable for me. Lore-wise, it's a great game. But for someone that has never done any of the lore before actually playing any of these games, or has never really been interested in any of the lore, until the past 2 years when I could just go out and buy it for $2. A majority of these I got at $2 a pop, $4. Only the PS4s were like $13 a pop, but everything else was like $2, $3. So at this point, I would pay the $3, but if it were back at release, I probably wouldn't. Just saying. I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but this is my opinion, my list, so that's it. That's all the mainline story Assassin's Creed games. There are a couple of side missions or side DLC games that came on repackages of different things. Freedom Cry is one. Liberation is another. There's a lot of other non-core Assassin's Creed games, but this is all the core Assassin's Creed games that came out physically for PS3 and the PS4. I'm not getting a PS5 as of right now. So for me, this is all of my collection for Assassin's Creed that I can go through. And that's all I have to say about that. Please like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy the content of this video. And I will see y'all in the next wonderful video of Lego Brat 86 reviews. Okay? Or lists. List out. Okay. Bye-bye.